Well, that was actually a pretty sweet surprise.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hey travelers, welcome back to Roberto's Room. I actually just got done watching a brand new documentary that is called Not Just a Goof. It is all about the 1995 film A Goofy Movie that I really wanted to talk about. This is actually going to be kind of a dual review because I actually did not grow up watching a Goofy movie. I was more of the extremely Goofy movie generation, and this particular documentary, it's incredible. This documentary reminds me of a simpler time, and of course this was a simpler time. I know for us 90s kids we view this time with a lot of nostalgia, but you cannot deny that there was something wholesome about the entertainment that Disney and all of the other entertainment companies were pumping out, and I think Goofy Movie stands as one of the diamonds in that particular run. Of course, in this time you had Lion King, you had Beauty and the Beast, you had Aladdin. This was a golden age for Disney, and a Goofy Movie deserves to be in the same conversation as all of these. This is actually what the entire documentary is about just the love and the care and the difficulties and the struggles that it took to bring this to the screen. We get to see all of the creatives, from Kevin Lima, who was the director of the movie, to Don Hahn, who was a producer on many of the really just phenomenal hits that Disney was putting out in the 90s, as well as Bill Farmer, who voices Goofy, and the voice of Max as well. All of them, they get to share their experience about what it was like making this movie. And if you haven't seen this movie, again, I would highly encourage you to check this out. This is a very wholesome film that, again, I didn't really get to see when this movie came out. I came up later on with the Extremely Goofy Movie. That was kind of my movie, but that movie deserves a whole lot of love because it is really, like I said, it is a very simple movie, but it is a heartfelt movie about a father and his son wanting to reconnect. And it goes back to, as I mentioned, a very simple, innocent time in media, which I am going to make a video soon about this whole downfall of especially children's media nowadays, because now everything has to be tainted, and you have to, as I mentioned in my Daredevil review, it's a minefield out there of content, trying to figure out what's good, what's not, when these were days where media was simple, especially children's media. The media that I grew up on, like Goofy Movie, okay, I didn't exactly grow up on that particular film, but this movie is emblematic of the things that I grew up watching. Again, Tarzan, Dinosaur, all of these movies that are just a delight to watch. And again, Goofy Movie especially being about a father and his son, and both of them trying to kind of meet in the middle, which is something that is beneficial to a lot of families. But before we get into it, if you would, please drop a like, and after you finish watching this video, please come back to the comment section and drop a comment. Tell me what you thought about the show, and as well, if you're watching this and you have not, please subscribe. We would love to have you on board the channel.
Smile, everyone! We're back.
One of the things I loved about this particular documentary is seeing the impact, because when this movie came out, it was declared a dud, and the people lambasted it, critics lambasted it, which, how dare you, just heartless, just break the heart that you went after this movie, because yes, it's called a Goofy movie, it's going to be goofy, but if you are willing to go behind the goofiness and actually see the heart of the film that's behind it, it is an extremely heartfelt movie about a son and a father that are on opposite ends of a spectrum, that through the whole movie, through everything they go through, come together to understand each other, to learn from each other. And it is a message that we need more of in the world, especially today where you have such stupid divides in the world. We need to go back to, I think, and this is my humble YouTube petition, to go back to a simpler time of just culture in general, especially American culture, because we need to go back to a time when we gathered around the simple things. We loved the simple things, and the world was simpler, and I think we can go back there. I think that if we as a culture demanded that we should go back to a simpler time where we didn't have to worry about what our kids were watching at the cinema or at home, where we didn't have to worry about the entertainment that was displayed for them, where we didn't have to worry about the things that were coming out from these different studios, and it wasn't all about servicing a particular message, but it was instead of putting out a legitimately good movie with a legitimately good message, like a Goofy movie. I think we could go back there, but all it takes is us saying enough is enough, and I think that that's possible. I really think that that's possible, because it's the 30th anniversary of a Goofy movie this year, and this was such a love letter, this Not Just a Goof documentary, to a movie that really did not get the appreciation that it deserved back in the day, but is getting it now. Like I said, I did not see this when it came out, but I was actually lucky enough to discover this movie later on in my life. I think actually it was because of my wife, who told me, I grew up with this movie, you need to see this movie, Powerline is everything, eye to eye, like, and I'm like, what is it, what are you talking about? I know Extremely Goofy movie, not that. But when I saw it, it's emblematic of old-fashioned goodness from Disney that even Disney is struggling to make anymore. I really would want them to pivot back to this era of just very simple filmmaking, and I love that we got to see a little peek behind the curtain of what the filmmakers and creatives go through, because it is an arduous process. And it brings me to what I wanted to bring up as well in this kind of review of both Not Just a Goof documentary and a Goofy movie, is when you have a movie that's not this corporately mandated thing, but is actually a passion project, we need to stand behind these creatives and support them from an audience perspective. You know, they make the media, the content, the stories, the movies, the TV shows that they make for us, right? We get to decide whether something is liked and something is not. And I love that this movie had such a resurgence later on in its life, and that people thought it was just going to die out and be a blip on Disney's map alongside a long catalog of just tremendous hits. Again, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid. But instead, this movie is getting later on the well-deserved recognition that it sorely needed back in 1995. I'm thankful that, you know, for us that grew up in that era, are now, you know, we're adults, and 30 years later, we get to go back and see these movies. And if you have children, introduce your children to these movies, introduce those closer to you that maybe are younger, you know, they're starting out their movie watching, and don't introduce them to the new stuff that you don't even know if it's good or not. Take them back to the classics like a Goofy movie, because I feel that they'll be better off for it. It's movies like these that make us love cinema. And again, I'm so thankful for creatives that don't throw in the towel, that stick to it, and because they know that they have something that is worth making. And I wish that we can go back to these days where we had creatives that stuck to a project, not because it was corporately mandated, not because they wanted to fulfill a message, but because it was a legitimately good story, a legitimately good tale that they wanted to bring to us, and that we can appreciate. I want to go back to those days, and I don't feel like we're too far gone. I feel like we can pivot back because of things like this, like Not Just a Goof, that remind us of a much better time, much simpler time, that had really great stories that we can all just rally behind. I really encourage you to watch both Not Just a Goof and a Goofy movie. If you haven't seen either, I highly recommend that you watch both. They are both phenomenal in what they set out to do. With a Goofy movie, of course, telling a story about a father and his son and how they come together in the middle and learn to understand each other. And Not Just a Goof, the documentary about just all of the hardships and struggles that it took to make this thing and not get the recognition initially that they thought they were going to get for it, even though they knew they had a gem on their hands. And I'm thankful that they get to see the impact that their project, their movie, their story had on childhoods, not just in that time, but much later on, 30 years later and beyond. This was actually one movie that before the Disney Movie Club closed down, rest in peace, I actually got to pick up on Blu-ray. This was one that they put out as a club exclusive, and I'm so thankful I picked this up. Again, I hadn't seen this movie before, so the fact that I picked this up, I actually have an extremely goofy movie up on the shelf as well, but I picked this up on a whim, and I'm so thankful I did, especially after seeing it, because it really needs some well-deserved attention and some care from people that understand the power of such a great and tremendous message that this movie brings. I really want to go back, like I said, to that simpler time where movies told a really, really good, heartfelt, innocent message. And I feel like we are not that far away that we cannot turn back. But please, let me know what you thought about both the documentary as well as a Goofy movie. Have you seen them? If you haven't, stop what you're doing right now. Go and watch both of them. Watch Goofy movie, then watch Not Just the Goof. It's on Disney Plus. Please go watch them both. You will not regret it. Please, as well, if you would, please drop a like down below. And once you go and see this movie, let me know what you thought. I really want to see your thoughts about this movie. And as well, lastly, but surely not least, if you're watching this review and you have not subscribed, please come on board the channel. I would love to have you on board the ride. We are just over 60 subscribers. I am over the moon. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of my subscribers. I'm so excited to keep building it, but I need you to hop aboard this amazing ride. And I've got some pretty good content coming up, so come on board. Well, thank you once again for joining me for this review, travelers, and as always, go with grace.